Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. Welcome to another lovely Friday morning here in Maine. The sun is shining and it's just a glorious day. Today's topic is going to be light, beauty, and diversity. And I'm going to wait a few minutes. I can see a couple people appearing. Amanda, Lords, Sidra, thank you. Leonie has joined us. I'm assuming that I'm being heard. I see some hearts floating, which is always a joy to see, and some thumbs up and some wows, and bless you all, and welcome to this morning and to this show. The words light, beauty, and diversity arose this morning as an interesting subject. Not that I don't always talk about light and beauty and diversity, but this past week for me was one in which I came to many self-revelations of my own childhood and how I felt about myself and how I look at the world from, and I express this often, from different viewpoints rather than points of view. And so in a conversation yesterday with a friend, I was explaining some of this to him on a more personal level than I will probably share here today. But I realized that we all, and in talking with him, he was describing similar experiences, and I realized that how many of us don't tap into parts of ourselves because they're not very pleasant. So this week I was a very mundane thing. I was switching car insurance companies, and there was a message about passwords, and they ask you to protect your password and give you little phrases. And the phrase was, who was your best friend in high school? And it hit me like a ton of bricks because there was this emptiness. There was this stillness. I couldn't answer. Who was your best friend in high school? And this overwhelming energy came over and said, I didn't have a best friend ever that I can recall. And I said, how can I say that? I had had lots of friends. And I said, felt deep into that. And I realized, no, they were acquaintances, but they weren't really friends. And that my whole life as a child, my idea of friendship with people and other children was very distorted. And so that made me drop into myself and realized, wow, here we are in our daily life now, and we have people in our lives that we claim are our friends. And when we really ask what a friend is, and we hold that light up to those individuals, many of them fall very short of that notice. We go on Facebook, we go to social media, and we talk about our friends, and we have friends. But true friendship is not this image that we're seeing on Facebook. And it doesn't mean that I'm not friends with you on a level, but true friends are there to support each other and to encourage each other in every instant, and not hold judgments, and if they do have judgments, to let them go easily because they know their friendship is more important. I try to honor that with most of the people who become my friends on Facebook. But I can't really know you on social media, and I can't really physically touch your energy. And so we have these experiences which operate from a certain perspective or a certain viewpoint. And so as I thought about this morning, what happened was I looked through the world window and of all of these chaotic happenings and all of the distress that people are going through, and realized world peace begins within us. And if we're not at peace within us and ourselves, how can we ever express peace to each other? Friendship, being peaceful with your friends. My friends or people that I acquainted with me pretty much took what they could from me and used me. So the topics of this morning were friends, hurt, triggers, super sensitive, low esteem, and doormat. And that's what I began to ruminate about as I came on here. And I know each of you have your own experiences, and they're unique to you. They're similar in the collective whole, but they're unique to each of us. And many times we have been hurt and or we have been taken advantage of in some way or some manner. But I looked back on myself and I said, what did that create in me? And what it created in me was a sense of low esteem. And that was one of the words that, came up was low esteem. And it was because as a child, I was super sensitive. Many of you who are attuned to appearing, coming on this show with me and listening are super sensitive, and we're super sensitive as children. You were highly empathic, and you felt things around you, but you weren't at an age where your mind was able to process all that was going on. And so when it was delivered with energy that was negative or abusive, your mind stored that, and it took a hit, and it changed the way you looked at life. And so as we grow in the world, this is what happens. We accumulate all of these energetic processes from our everyday action with each other and people that we love, people that who love us or are supposed to love us, they may not. And we store all of that, and we develop, a sense of our self-esteem, our sense of esteem. How do we feel about ourselves? That feeling toward ourselves is invariably how we start to react to the world outside of us, because we see a separation. We see a separation in the fact that I can go within myself and I can wall off the world and have my own little world inside. And then I can imagine just about anything I want in there. Well, I can make that pretty. I can make it fanciful. I can, add, whatever I want in there, because it's my little world in here. But then when I walk out the door into the larger world and I see everything else, it's like another world. So there's this part of our mind that started when we were very young, recording all of these instances. And it's developed a pattern, what I would call a pattern. I wrote it somewhere, and I have another name for it, but it's okay. But it's a patterning in which we have not fully realized who or what we're truly capable of. And it's time now in this changing world, and we're being, I feel, encouraged to take those labels off that we put on throughout our lifetime. And it could be just as recent as yesterday, we put another label on something or took a hit of energy of something. And all of these emotional hurts, this energy of hurt or being used, and shift it. And shift it to today's topic: light, beauty, and diversity. In essence, this is truly what we were created as. We are light. We are beauty. We are diversity. This is creation. If you look at the world, and I spent the beginning of this week in the world, in the woods, in the lake, gathering water, blessing water, blessing trees, speaking with all kinds of nature spirits. And it was a completely different world. And I realized that world exists every day, but I'm only aware of it when I go there and dive into it. And yet it's all around me. And what did I see was I saw beauty. Amazing beauty. Even in the things that were deceased, or what we would call no longer living. The trees, the whatever appeared to be dead, the fallen leaves. There was still a beauty in those. And then there were new flowers coming up that were just gorgeous. And in one place I arrived, there were these tiny frogs. And when I looked down, I thought they were bugs. They looked like bugs scattering across this piece of concrete. And I had never seen a frog so tiny. I took a picture of it, and you still couldn't recognize that were frogs until you zoom in. You had to get real close to see. And there were thousands of them. And they were jumping off this concrete pad into the river and swimming. And it was like they were having a ball. It was like, and it took me back again to my childhood innocence of how innocent we are in the very beginning of our lives. How everything, we want to enjoy it. We want to embrace it. We want to welcome it into our hearts. We need to do that again. We need to shift our awareness and our consciousness away from this hurt and this pain that we've stored away in our memories, and we need to release it. We need to look at things from a different viewpoint. The viewpoint it's interesting because people look at, when I say that, and I always point my hands, a viewpoint as being sort of a V that goes out from us. And we're here, we're standing, and this is our viewpoint. And we can widen how much view we can come in from this point. Most of us look through a very narrow channel at life. And so when it gets narrowed, it becomes more of a point of view, because we're stuck seeing things through this narrow slot. And the narrow slot has been created by all of these programmings and painful experiences that we don't want to face or deal with. And so our world narrows down to this fine line. And this is where we argue from. This is where we're willing to make our last stand from a place of, this is all I got left. And you're going to have to kill me to take this away from me. And where did that come from? It came from a childhood in which, and I'm not putting fault on anybody or anything, where we were just narrowed and winnowed down into this small channel of ourselves in order to make it through because we were so sensitive. And we would rather not be seen, and we tried to hide away from everyone so that they wouldn't see us, they wouldn't notice us, and they wouldn't pick on us, or they wouldn't do horrible things to us. This is my experience, okay? And it may not be each of your experiences, but I can assure you, if it isn't, you know somebody in your life, and somebody you may love dearly, who has had that experience. And it's time now for all of us to let that go. We need to shift that, move through that, and start to embrace, as I said, the beauty of who we are, the light of who we are, and our diversity. Diversity, just that word, can become a very heated topic, because diversity doesn't occur in this tiny space. Diversity is everything. If you look at the world, and you look at the plants, and you look at the rocks, and you look at the minerals, you look at the water, you look at all of created life, there is such a diversity and a uniqueness, and yet everything has somewhat of an integral balance, a natural balance to it. We as humans have separated ourselves from that. Whether intentionally, accidentally, it doesn't matter. What each of us have to do is come back to being part of the diversity rather than part of the separation of I'm special and I'm this and I am that, and all of the different ways we can pull away from each other and say, I'm better than you. Because in truth, there is no better. We are all the beauty. We are all the light that has shined forever on this planet. And so, as I thought about it this morning, I realized that each of us are the ones who limit ourselves. We tend to look outside of us, and we tend to put the blame on somebody else because we're looking at it from this narrow channel. When we look at it from a viewpoint, and let me read the definitions of viewpoint. A point of view is recognized as a particular way of thinking or about or judging a situation. And the second line to that is someone's own personal opinion or attitude about something. And we all have that. We all have our unique opinion or attitude about something. There's nothing wrong with that. This is our personal point of view. However, a viewpoint is slightly different. And it goes on to say it's similar. It says a particular way of thinking about a problem. But here they're talking about not judging. And the word not judging is in that definition. And so this is the difference. When we have a point of view, we've already made a determined judgment, and we're going to send that point of view out there. But a viewpoint is where we stand and observe in order to form a point of view. And the second line for the definition of viewpoint is a place from which you can see something. And that's what happened to me the other day when I was filling out that form, and it came to the childhood thing, who was your high school best friend? It brought me to a place where I could see something that I had never seen before. I had felt it. Oh no, we all felt it. I felt that. I felt that aloneness, and I felt that that hurt. But I never saw it in the light that I saw it in that moment. And I also never saw the beauty of myself as I did in that moment. And realized that I'm not a victim of anybody, but this was how other people were treating me and what I did with that. And in that moment, I had to take responsibility for my actions, my reactions. And so this is the difference between a point of view versus a viewpoint. So I always tell people, I hold my hands sort of like this, the viewpoint can widen. So here we are standing, I always give the example of standing in a circle. And if things don't fit, move around the circle, move 3 steps around the circle, and then look from that viewpoint. And that's what that little question did to me. It moved me into another point from which I could see something. And then expand that point. Once you open it, expand that point to see your whole peripheral vision. And when we look at life, again, we become very myopic. We look intensely and then we pick things apart. And it's like looking at life through a microscope. And I remember as a child, I loved my microscope because there was a whole new world in there. And it was wondrous because there was nobody who could explain it to me. So I could have my own imagination, and I dived into the microscope. And it was just amazing. But I couldn't see the big picture. I couldn't see how those little microbes and germs and all of those things fit into the big picture. It was like going to another world. So what we need to do is open our field of vision, our field of view, and see the larger picture and realize that the diversity is not only in that little slide, but we breathe it, we eat it, we drink it, we are it. It doesn't make anyone better than anybody or less than anybody. It's our personal uniqueness. Even in twins, when you look at twins or when, triplets or whatever, they each have a uniqueness, a diversity that makes them unique. So in order to change the world, when we look at peace, what's missing in the world is true peace. We have to look within ourselves and recognize that the peace within us is not all there either. And it's these moments of self-reflection, these moments of stillness, coming to those moments of stillness and not fearing them, but allowing them to present you with a different viewpoint that is going to make all of the difference. And in those moments, we can choose to forgive ourselves. I know a lot of people have an issue with the word forgiveness, but really forgiveness is allowing ourselves to let go. Allowing ourselves to let go of what we thought was the truth about something, when the truth really was we were seeing something and feeling something from a personal perspective. But in the meantime, we were still the beautiful, perfect creation of light, beauty, and diversity. Course in Miracles will tell you it's an illusion. Those are illusions. These are the illusions. Doesn't make them not real. How it affects us is real. It affects us. The energy effect, the energetic effect is real. But we can choose to no longer honor it. And when we do that, when we release ourselves, in that moment, we automatically release where it came from. Because if you look at it and you realize that what happened to you or what somebody else did to you, that you have a responsibility to own that. And when you no longer own that, then what they did no longer has the same effect. And it doesn't affect you. And things get lighter, brighter, more beautiful, and you get to see just so much more than you ever saw before. So that's my personal message to myself this morning that I share with you, and realize that as we move along this journey together of shifting and evolving, that we have a responsibility to each other. And I pulled a card this morning, and my galactic cards, and that's a Spiral Galaxies, and the card was receiving. There are many ways in which the universe gives me abundance. I am always open to receive the flow. I open my heart to receiving love and direction. As I place my trust in the divine, I draw upon an unlimited supply of success. The universe can manifest every dream I dream, every desire I desire. My success with Source is unceasing. Powerful words, unceasing. We have that power to change everything in our life, including the pain and the suffering. I'm not going to say everybody's going to want to do that, or everybody should do it just because you can. The pain and suffering has a purpose. But I'm here to share with you, you also are more powerful than the pain and the suffering. And from a book, Lessons from the Source by Jack Armstrong, a wonderful book. Joy and peace and love are constant realities within you, but you can allow them to either have expression or to be repressed. Their expression through you is a conscious choice. With your consent, they will manifest constantly in your life, and you will be constantly magnetized to attract your good. You must make the decision. After a while, of course, it becomes automatic. Give yourself permission to enjoy life. I love you, I thank you, and I respect you. And it's just a joy to be here with each of you. And I didn't try to look on the sideboard because this message was perhaps more about me than you. But I feel that in sharing my heart and my experiences, my truth, my revelations, I allow you to see that it's okay. It's not going to kill you to open up those old wounds and to look at them from a different point of view. And with that, I'm complete, and I thank you, and I love you, and may your week be one of amazing revelations, revelations in which you become aware of yourself on so many levels and dimensions of who you are, and you release those that no longer serve you. Because I truly want to see who each and every one of you are in your full potential. Blessings to you all. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all the comments as I go over and read them later. I always put a heart. It'll say from Humanity Healing, but that's the only way I can respond back on the sideboard there. And just know that each one of your presence is felt here in my heart, and I feel our love coming together and expanding as we move together into the future. I'm complete now, and I will just say adios until next Friday. Peace be with you.